You get an email from your boss that simply says, "Do you have 5 minutes to chat?" It is a completely neutral sentence, but within 3 seconds, your brain is already 5 steps ahead, building the absolute worst-case scenario. You are running the mental script where you messed up, where you're exposed, where everything falls apart. And the most exhausting part, a quiet, logical part of you knows you are probably overreacting, but you still cannot make it stop. If this is you, it is not a character flaw. In psychology, this is called catastrophizing. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what is driving it and 4 ways to break out of it. Today's question is one I hear constantly. Why does my brain always jump to the worst possible outcome, even when I know it probably won't happen? The answer involves 2 things most people don't realize are connected: your biology and a deeply ingrained loop your brain has learned to run automatically. Let's name what's actually happening here. Catastrophizing is a thinking pattern where your brain skips past realistic outcomes and lands straight on the worst possible one. Psychologists classify it as a cognitive distortion, a systematic error in thinking that feels completely true while it's happening, but doesn't accurately reflect reality. But here is the important thing I want you to hold on to. Catastrophizing is not irrational. It is not you being dramatic or unable to cope. It is a completely predictable response from a brain that has learned, for very good reasons, to pay more attention to threat than to safety. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what brains were designed to do. It just hasn't quite caught up with the fact that the email from your manager is not the same as being faced with a lion. Here's where it gets interesting. And this is the part I really want you to understand, because once you see the loop, you can't unsee it. Catastrophizing doesn't happen in isolation. It is part of a cycle, and the cycle has a name: the doom loop. It goes like this. Stage 1, the trigger. Something uncertain or ambiguous happens. A message, a comment, a silence where there usually isn't one. Your brain registers it as potentially threatening. Stage 2, negativity bias activates. Your brain has a built-in tendency to weight negative information more heavily than neutral or positive information. This is called negativity bias, and it is not a quirk. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism. For most of human history, the cost of missing a threat was death. The cost of over-detecting one was just unnecessary anxiety. So, our brains evolved to err heavily on the side of caution, to assume the rustle in the bushes is a predator, not a breeze. That same mechanism, when applied to modern life, means your brain automatically amplifies ambiguous signals in a negative direction. Stage 3, the worst-case story builds. Once the threat signal is active, your brain starts filling in gaps. And because of negativity bias, it fills them with the worst version of events. The message didn't come back because they're angry. The flat tone means something is wrong. The change plan means they don't want to be there. Here's the part most people miss. The story your brain builds feels like analysis. It feels like you are logically working through what might be happening. But it is not analysis. It is prediction under the influence of a threat-activated nervous system. And those are very different things. Stage 4, the body responds. As the worst-case story builds, your nervous system responds to it as if it were real. We covered this in video 5. The sympathetic nervous system doesn't distinguish between an imagined threat and a real one. So, your heart rate goes up, your chest tightens, your thinking narrows, and that physical activation makes the threat feel even more real, which makes the story more convincing, which activates the body further. Stage 5, the loop locks in. Now you are inside the doom loop. Your catastrophic thought is producing physical symptoms that confirm the catastrophic thought. The anxiety is creating evidence for itself. This is not a personality trait. It is a loop, and loops can be interrupted. Here are 4 ways to interrupt the doom loop. Each one targets a different stage of the cycle. Tool 1, the realistic range. This tool targets step 3 of the loop, the moment your brain starts building the worst-case story. When you catch yourself catastrophizing, you're usually thinking in binary terms. Either everything is fine or everything is terrible. This tool breaks that binary open. Ask yourself 3 questions in this order. What is the worst realistic outcome? Not a fantasy disaster, something that could actually happen. What is the best realistic outcome? Again, realistic, not wishful thinking. What is the most likely outcome? Based on actual evidence, not fear. Most people find, when they do this honestly, that the most likely outcome sits somewhere in the middle, not catastrophic, not perfect, just manageable. Why it works. Catastrophizing collapses your thinking into one possible future. The realistic range forces your brain to generate a spread of outcomes, which is a far more accurate representation of how uncertainty actually works. This is a core technique from CBT called decatastrophizing, deliberately widening the lens from one outcome to many. Tool 2. The best realistic outcome. This one builds directly on the realistic range, but it deserves its own focus because most people skip it entirely. Once you have identified your best realistic outcome, spend 30 seconds sitting with it, not as wishful thinking, as a genuine possibility, because it is. Write it down if you can. 1 sentence, the best realistic version of how this could unfold. Why it works. Negativity bias means your brain naturally gravitates toward and rehearses the negative outcome. The best realistic outcome exercise is a deliberate counterweight. Research on mental contrasting and positive future imagery suggests that briefly but concretely envisioning a positive outcome alongside an honest appraisal of obstacles improves both emotional regulation and problem solving. This is not toxic positivity. It is rebalancing a brain that has been tilted too far in one direction. Tool 3. The So What chain. This tool is for the doom loop at its most persistent. When the realistic range hasn't shifted the catastrophic thought because underneath it, there is a deeper fear your brain is actually trying to protect you from. Here's how it works. Write down your catastrophic thought. Then ask, so what? If that happened, then what? Write down the answer, then ask again, and if that happened, so what? Keep going. Usually within 4 or 5 steps, you reach the actual fear, the real thing your brain is trying to avoid. And almost always that fear is something you could survive, something you have resources to handle, something far less catastrophic than the loop was making it feel. The doom loop draws its power from staying vague. The so what chain forces it into the open. Why it works. This is a structured version of what CBT calls the downward arrow technique, a method for uncovering the core belief or underlying fear driving a surface-level anxious thought. By following the chain all the way down, you stop fighting the symptom and address the root. Most people discover their real fear is survivable. That discovery deflates the loop far more effectively than arguing with the surface thought. Tool 4. The worry quarantine. This one targets the loop at step 4, the moment the body is already activated and the thinking has already narrowed. When you are deep in the doom loop, trying to reason your way out is very difficult. The nervous system activation is real, and it is interfering with your ability to think clearly. Trying to think harder at that moment is like trying to do maths during a fire alarm. The worry quarantine does something different. It postpones the worry rather than fighting it. When you notice the doom loop starting, say to yourself, I'm going to think about this at 6 p.m, not now. Then, when 6 p.m. comes, you sit down and deliberately think about the worry for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you stop. Why it works? This works for 2 reasons. First, it removes the secondary struggle of trying to suppress the worry, which, as we covered in video 4, almost always backfires. You are not telling your brain the worry doesn't matter. You are giving it a time and a place. That reduces the urgency signal. Second, when the designated time arrives, most people find the worry has significantly reduced in intensity on its own. And for those who still need to think it through, the 15-minute boundary stops the loop from running all evening. This is a well-established worry management protocol from CBT for generalized anxiety, sometimes called stimulus control for worry. Let's bring this together. Your brain jumping to worst-case scenarios is not irrationality. It is negativity bias, kept your ancestors alive, now running in a world of emails and ambiguous silences rather than predators. The doom loop has 5 stages. A trigger, negativity bias amplifying it. A worst-case story building. Your body responding to that story as if it were real, and then those physical feelings confirming the story. Once you can see the loop, you are already outside it. The 4 tools each interrupt the loop at a different point. The realistic range and the best realistic outcome break the binary thinking. The so what chain gets to the real fear underneath. And the worry quarantine gives your nervous system permission to stand down for now. None of this makes uncertainty comfortable overnight, but it makes it manageable. And manageable is how change actually starts. Comment prompt. Which stage of the doom loop do you recognize most in yourself? The story building, the body response, or the loop locking in? Tell me in the comments. I will read everyone. In the next video, we're looking at perfectionism, why your high standards might be working against you, and what to do instead. If this video has been useful, please subscribe. Every week on this channel, we go deeper into the patterns that keep thoughtful, capable people feeling stuck. I'll see you in the next video.